The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and I'm webcasting to you live from the Warner Center in Woodland Hills. We are in Tower 1 on the 18th floor in our new studio. This is the new home for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters, and it's also the new home for Autism Live. Thrilled to be here with you this morning. The bags under my eyes are a little bit bigger than usual because I did something crazy and wonderful yesterday. After we were all done with shows and done with work yesterday, my husband picked up my son. It's an early release day from school, and we made the trek down to Disneyland. And so we're, we're court low today. But here's the thing. I did that because we always talk on the show about how every once in a while you have to stop and smell the roses and do something fabulous, and we have to do that for our kids. I don't know why it was so much easier when we were going through therapy. It was, like a regular thing. Once a month, we would go down for an afternoon at Disneyland. And now that we're not in therapy anymore, it just doesn't, we can go pretty much anytime we're not too tired to go, which is never, by the way. So we tend to go. It had been over a year since we had been as a family. What a wonderful thing to do. And I want to remind all of you that find some time. You've got a 3-day weekend hopefully coming up. Find some time to do something fun. I wouldn't have traded that time for anything. But thrilled to be here with you this morning. We got a lot that we're going to talk about. We're going to be with you live for the next 2 hours talking about autism from a 360-degree perspective. Anything that can come into our lives from being a part of the autism community. And this is a big community, right? Whether you're a parent, you're a teacher, you're a practitioner, you're an individual who's on the spectrum yourself, we know that there's a lot that goes into being a member of this big, beautiful, diverse community. So we hope that you will participate with us in this conversation. We want to hear from you about the things that are going on in your life, questions that you have. Kelby's going to show you some of the different ways that you can be watching the show and some of the ways that you can be participating with us. While he does that, I will remind you our homepage is autism-live.com. When you go there, so much to do. Please, by the way, sign up for our email list. It's a free email list, gives you a monthly guide and a weekly viewer guide, which is really fun to be able to know who's going to be on the show, what's coming up, that kind of thing. It's totally free, and we don't share your information with anybody else, so you can be safe in the knowledge of that. But also, while you're on that homepage, you can be watching the live show or the most recently recorded live show. You'll see that it looks kind of like a desktop, and there's a computer screen there. And if you click on the triangle that is on the computer screen, it will start the show. If we're live, it'll start the live show. If we are done with the live show for the day or for the week, it will show you the most recently recorded live show. If that's not the one you want, have no fear. There is a playlist up in the upper left-hand corner. It looks like it's a button that looks like a memo board. And if you click on that, you can choose between the most recent 100 episodes. That's a lot of Autism Live right there. But if that isn't far enough back for you, if you want to go back to the beginning to see an interview that we did 3 years ago, you can do that on our YouTube channel, as Kelby's showing you some of those different things. But hey, when you're on autism-live.com, there's something called the live feature. It's to the side of the computer screen. If you put your cursor in the box that says your question, start typing, hit enter. That's all it requires. There is no login, there is no username, there's no question of a credit card because it's totally free and it's totally anonymous. I do suggest that you give us what your closest major city is so that we can have an idea. If we're going to talk resources, which that's the thing to talk about, right? If we want to talk resources, it's helpful for us to know where in the world you are, what's close by, because unfortunately, at this moment in time, the resources are not the same in all the different places, right? We're working towards it. But the good news is that there are resources, and we want to be able to hook you up to the ones that will be meaningful to you. This is not a one-size-fits-all community, right? It's not even a one-size-fits-most community. Have you ever seen that tag on clothing? I kind of hate that because to me, it's like one size fits everybody but you. In any case, thrilled to be here with you this morning. I do like to remind you at the start of the show always that we have a lot of experts who come in our door and take a seat at the table here with me, and I'm thrilled to be able to bring you their expertise. But I do like to remind you at the start of the show that I am not one of those experts, right? I'm here and I'm enjoying it and I'm loving it, and I feel like I have a place at this table because I have a son who is on the autism spectrum. He was diagnosed at the age of 2.5, and he is now 12, and he is luscious and fabulous and remarkable and unique and just the light of my life. And I was just saying to one of our guests this morning that we're in a bit of a sweet spot, and I know sweet spots don't last forever, but I have to say that my gratitude runneth over, because at this moment in time, I'm just enjoying him in so many different ways and thrilled with what he is able to do and able to focus on that. And I want you to know that I firmly understand that that has come about because there's been a little bit of luck, right? But a lot of hard work done by a lot of really wonderful people. And a tremendous amount of the luck came from being able to find those resources at the right time and to find people to tell me how to get the funding to do that, and other people who told me how to get the most out of it, right? Then on top of that, there was more luck in terms of my son responded really well to it. But I think it's so important that we pay things forward when we receive them. So I'm here to pay that forward and help you hopefully get to the resources that you need at the right time and tell you how to make the most of them and help you to find the funding so that it all becomes a reality for you so that you can be in a sweet spot too. And then on the flip side, you know, sometimes the sweet spot goes to the side and we lose that. I fully expect that that will happen at some point, and I'll be here sitting here saying, teenage years. I can't even make my hair do that anymore. What do we do about the teenagers, right? So we share all of it, even the times when it's not going so well. We hold hands, right? Si se puede. We can do this together. So, but just remember, I'm passionate about it, but I'm not an expert. I'm just a mom at the table. But I'm going to stop saying just a mom at the table. I'm a mom at the table. I have a space here, and I'm happy and thrilled and proud to have my space at the table. Okay. Join me at the table. Bring your story to the table. All right, we like to start every morning with something we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym. We try to figure out what in the heck are they talking about. Experts who sit down and tell us that they're going to be so helpful, so useful to us, but then they start using words we've never heard of before, words and phrases that we've never heard of before. And I think it's really important that if we can make friends with the jargon terms just a little bit at a time, it helps us to be more productive. It's more efficient, right? That's what jargon's all about. So today, our lovely jargon term of the day is executive functions. This is an area that I both love and hate because when you got executive functions clicking in the right direction, it's like, you know, a party, things are getting done, and we're moving towards our goals and we're achieving them, right? When there is a hiccup in the executive functions, it's when the sweater starts to unravel and you go, no, what's going wrong? I did this, why am I not, right? Executive functions. This is what we're talking about. So let's take a look at what our actual definition for executive functions is. Executive functions, a set of cognitive abilities that control and regulate other abilities and behaviors in order to successfully achieve goals. Oh, what? What does that mean? A set of cognitive abilities that control and regulate other abilities and behaviors in order to successfully achieve goals. All right, well, we talked about what cognitive skills were the other day, right? and we want to be successful in achieving our goals, let's look at the watered down version of what executive functions are. Skills involved in goal-directed behaviors such as memory, attention, planning, self-awareness, and problem solving. We talked about this a little bit on Tuesday, that if you want to achieve a goal, if you stop and consider all the things that you have to do, you know, when this was first explained to me, the person who explained executive functions to me and that I got it was Dr. Adele Nadowski. She said, okay, she'd just come back from a conference, and she said, if you stop and think about it, let's say you wanted to go to an autism conference, Shannon, and it's happening on Thursday morning, and the opening statements are being made at 9 o'clock. What has to happen for you to be in the seat at 9 o'clock in the morning? And for me, in that moment, I was like, well, you know, it's so overwhelming, I can't even think about it, because I have to find, where's my son when this is happening? And, you know, and I listed off like 3 very basic things. And she said, yeah, except that's only scratching the surface, right? You have to arrange for your tickets. You have to arrange for your son to be someplace else. You have to make arrangements to get off work and make up the work that you were doing because you're not at your desk doing that, right? You have to think about what am I doing food-wise? You have to make sure that you get enough sleep. You have to make sure that you're wearing the appropriate clothing, and you can do all of those things. But what often happens is you go to get into the car and you realize, you know what? Darn it, I forgot to put gas in my tank. Right? It wasn't one of the things that you thought. Clearly, there has to be gas in the tank of the car in order for you to get there, and now you've got a problem. What are you going to do about it? And you have to make a decision in that moment about, do I have enough gas to get there but not enough gas to get back? Do I stop and get gas? If I go to this gas station, is it going to make me late? Do I need to take this road or that road? All of these things that go into play, you have to remember, where is the address? Do you have the address with you? How many times have you left to go someplace and said, I don't have the address? Thank heaven for smartphones now, right? Because we can look it up. But that's a problem-solving technique, taking out the smartphone and saying, I'm going to look it up. When you think about, for us as adults, all the things that we have to do just to be able to get our rear ends in a seat at 9 o'clock on Thursday for a conference that we want to go to, it's overwhelming, right? And you can see where there are so many different ways where we could end up getting there at 9:10 or never getting there, never getting to the conference, right? That's us. Think about that now from the perspective of a child who is on the autism spectrum, how overwhelming the world can seem. And it's not that our kiddos don't want things, they have goals and things that they want to do too. And if we give them the tools step by step, and by the way, we start with executive function skills as early as 2. Obviously, you're not working on the ones about how do you make sure that you have gas in your car, right? But we can start working on memory skills at the age of 2. Absolutely, right? And piece by piece, we keep adding on. So if you say, well, Shannon, I've got an 8-year-old, we didn't start at 2. It's not too late. It's not too late when you're 48 to start looking at executive function skills. Anytime you go to any kind of a motivational speaker or a business conference where they're helping you to be more productive, you know what they're working on? Executive functions. Because all of us have a place where our executive function skills aren't as strong. And if we strengthen that part of it, we will do better. Same thing with our kids. It's never too late. We need to get in, look at what the sequence is, and teach each thing as it comes so that we can help our kiddos to achieve their goals. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Executive functions. And by the way, you know, people shorten it to EF. So if you're at an IEP and they're talking about EF skills, that's great. They should be. And if they're not, you start to bring it up. What are we doing to strengthen the executive functions? I'm in the junior high land right now, and I can tell you it is the only way you can succeed in junior high is if you have your EF skills on point. They make it so that you can't succeed unless they're on point. But our kiddos can do it with help and support and learning those skills. And it will serve them well in life. All right, EF, executive functions, it's a really good thing. Moving on, we have a question that we always have for you every day. And so our question today is, this all makes sense to me now. What is the one thing that you know is true? Kelby came to me this morning. He said, I changed the question a little bit. And I said, it's always okay, Kelby. You can change the question to whatever you want. But the reason why it was worded so weird, Kelby, and this is a much better way of wording it, those of you who are Oprah fans with me, and there's one thing that Oprah asks all the time of people. What is the one thing you know for sure? And this was not something that Oprah invented. Gene Siskel from Siskel and Ebert, the fabulous movie critic, it was something that whenever he had an opportunity to interview somebody, he would say, what is the one thing you know for sure? And when he asked Oprah that question, it was a big aha moment for her. It'll all make sense in a second. And so it is the question that Oprah always asks people now. What is the one thing that you know for sure? If you watch Oprah, that's why it was worded so weird, Kelby, but this is much better. This makes much more sense. What is the one thing that you know is true? I asked Jem this the other day. I said to him, what's the one thing that you know for sure? And you know what he said? It's gonna make me cry. He said, I know for sure that you and Dad love me. That's a pretty good thing to know for sure, right? That's a pretty fabulous thing to know for sure. And I will tell you that the one thing that I know for sure is that there is always hope. That's the one thing that I know for sure. There is always hope. But what's the one thing that you know is true? What's the one thing that you know for sure? In any case, now I'm all emotional. Okay, so we always have a topic for the week. Do you remember what the topic for the week was from Tuesday? It's the aha moment. That moment when we go, oh, right, that's the thing. So we're going to be talking about that today and how to get an aha moment and what some brilliant aha moments are. We've got a great show planned for you today. I couldn't be more excited. One of our first guests is already here, and I had an opportunity to talk with her. So as you can see on our schedule, we have Jennifer Jones is here with us from Autism Speaks, and she's going to be talking with us about a series of events that are coming up this fall here in Southern California, and one that's coming up very soon having to do with safety. And I said to her, I want to know more about this because we can talk about everything else under the sun and the kumbaya moment and fabulous, but if we don't have safety in place for our kids, I know we talk about this all the time that, you know, the endless barrage that we see of kids that go missing and that we find that they've drowned. We have to put safety as a priority, right? It's got to be the number one thing no matter what we're doing, because if we don't have that, everything else is at risk at the very least. So can't wait to talk with her about this and about these other wonderful events. I know we talked a little bit yesterday about autism walks and how important it is to get to them. She's got two coming up here in Southern California that we're going to be talking with her about. Then in the second hour today, I'm so excited, you know, a regular new feature on the show, Love My Provider TV, Sarah Gershfeld is doing a bang-up job of bringing in some really incredible guests. So Karen Odell is with her today, and they are demoing the Osmo. This, I just can't wait to see this because I've heard so many great things about Osmo and how wicked cool it is. And I also hear that there is the possibility of somebody being able to win an Osmo. So you have to tune in the second hour. It's fairly quickly into the second hour that we're going to be showing that and find out from Sarah Gershfeld what that's all about from Love My Provider TV. And then towards the end of the hour, not the end, but you know, the middle of the hour, Angelique Chase and Chip Lane from First City Films are going to be talking with us about a really innovative way that they're funding their film, A Smile Beneath. It's a feature-length film that has to do with autism. It's inspired by a book that was written by two siblings, but it's a fictionalized book, but it was really a labor of love about their brother who was on the autism spectrum. So it's a fascinating film, but what's even more interesting, I think, at this moment in time about the film is the way they're going about making the film. They're asking for 1 million people to part with just $1. And here's the really spectacular thing is if you give $1 and it goes to making the film, once the film is made and the film is sold, then they're going to take that $1 million and give it to the charities that the people who donated the $1 million would like, the $1,001 bills that they say they would like for the money to go to. So you need to weigh in on that. And we all have a dollar that we could give, right? Each and every one of us can find a dollar, if nothing else, in the seat cushions, right? And what a great, I feel like, every once in a while I'll go buy a lottery ticket just for the entertainment value of the next 24 hours, me entertaining what would I do with $37 million. That is money well spent, my friends. For $1 to get a dream for 24 hours, oh, that makes me happy. This is like buying a lottery ticket that definitely will have a payoff because the film will get made and then it will go to help. That film will help people to be more aware of autism, but then the dollar has a life of its own after that. Dollar well spent. So tune in for that in the second hour. But first we're going to take a break and then we're going to bring Jennifer Jones in and talk about some of these fabulous events that are happening in Southern California, and most especially talking about a safety event. So stick with us. More Autism Live after these messages. Here mid-swing on this wonderful day, this wonderful walk with Mr. Matt Asner. Talk to us about today's walk. Do we have any facts, figures, numbers, or just pure emotion?
Just pure emotion. I'm about to get the numbers. We'll see what it is.
Okay.
I think it's probably close to 1.6, probably. That's my feeling. But it's incredible. We had 55,000 people plus here today, and I honestly, I've been here 7 years. It gets better and better and better. So.
And really, what you fostered here today is hope. I know that's your favorite four-letter word.
Where are we without hope?
Where are we?
Really, I mean, seriously, where are we without hope? Hope is everything. Hope is eternal.
This is a pretty big event. Every year, I love it. What does this event mean to you?
Well, I just think it's great that you see so many people coming out to support, autism.
So we're here with Max Burkholder. There's a whole community of people that are going to love you no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. And that's the autism community. Are you okay with this? Is this a good thing?
I'm pretty okay with it. This seems to be a pretty happy, supportive community.
Well, what did you learn about autism through portraying this wonderful character?
Sort of the individuality of it, like with autism spectrum disorders, a tendency is to sort of generalize everybody with sort of the same degree of affliction as sort of exactly the same, and very generalize them a lot. But something I found while just talking to everybody, and that I tried to put into the characters, just the sense of individuality that all of them have, everybody has. And so at a certain point it became not really even portraying autism, it just sort of became portraying the character.
I want to say thank you on behalf of everybody for what you do.
That's very sweet.
To bring awareness and to raise money. That's a tremendous, tremendous legacy. But as a dad, you've got other things that you're doing as well.
Yeah.
I want to know, as a family, if you have any advice, what's been something that's been helpful to you personally?
Get your autistic kids out in the community. I mean, my son's got a guide dog, so he goes to a lot of cool places. He surfs, he skis, does gymnastics. He's actually trying Hebrew school. I'm not quite sure if he knows what's happening there, but he does all kinds of cool things, and he has a lot of friends. Right now, most of his friends are the adults who take care of him, and over time, hopefully he'll have more friends who are his age, and you'll see him walking around, and people won't be nervous around him. The dog's been very helpful with that. It's like the dog is like the most infectious thing in the world. Like, everybody wants to be near the dog, and he sees that, and he gets some of that affection laid onto him. So as a family, we're just there to support Tyler and make him happy.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm so excited because we have our good friend in the studio, Jennifer Jones. And Jennifer comes to us from Autism Speaks, and I said, Jennifer, you're going to have to say what your title is because it's a mouthful, and I can't keep track. So tell us what the actual title is.
Yeah, I can't keep track of myself either. It's I'm the director for field development for Southern California.
Okay.
Autism Speaks.
That's a mouthful.
Yes, definitely.
The director of field development for Southern California. Okay, and that's a huge area.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to be done in that area, and you are a very busy lady. And you make a lot of really wonderful things happen. And I have to start by, I'm just like so emotional today, but I have to start by thanking you because we did the Dodger night, the Autism Awareness Night at Dodgers, and you guys have heard me wax poetic about this and what a major, major event it was for my son and I, and how emotional it was, and how I didn't expect for it to be that emotional, but it was. But see, Jennifer is the person who made that happen. Oh. So thank you.
No, thank you. I mean, you do so much for us and so much for the community.
Wow.
And I know that he's a big Dodger fan, and I was really thrilled about that day. Specifically that event and the kids taking the field.
Yeah.
One of the things I really pushed with the Dodgers, and they're very gracious and open, was having a whole range of ages and a range of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really beautiful that we had children from 2 years old to 16 years old, and
amazing.
from high functioning to more severely affected.
Yeah.
And it all worked out. And
It
everybody
really-
was thrilled.
And it was amazing. And I mean, I'm literally getting goosebumps thinking about it because it was so exciting. And we had participated in Dodger Night before and even been on the field before, but not taken the field before. And so I was kind of thinking, well, we've kind of done this before and it was fun and it was exciting. And I just didn't expect it to be that much more exciting. It was so meaningful to us. It was so meaningful to my son. He's still
So
talking
great.
about it.
That's so great.
They gave him a T-shirt that said, I took the field, and he wears that with pride. And can I tell you that it's currency with the other kids? So they go, what do you mean you took the field? And he goes, oh, I went out to center field.
Yeah.
And it was a big, big deal.
Yeah, it was such a great day. And just for me personally, there's so many people that I've met through this journey, and to be able to do something like that for other people, it's something that I don't think my son would be able to do. He's, stood on home plate with me at the Angel game. I had to bribe him the entire time. Like all he was talking about was, the order of food that he was going to get.
Yes,
but that's how I
yes.
kept him there.
Yes.
For a brief moment. But for me, having all of the kids on the field, and then a really good friend of mine and partner as well, Larry Hauser, his son, as you know, at the game, got to throw the first pitch. And to me, having the kids on the field means just as much to me as if it were my own son. So I'm so glad that it was such a great moment for everybody.
See, and now I'm just going to be waterworks, but we have you on the show a lot, and we have you talk about the things going on in Southern California. A couple of times we've had opportunity to talk to you about your personal life, because people come in and you're part of that club of people that you have a child who's on the autism spectrum, and it's meaningful to you and it's important to you, and you give back. And, I hadn't really thought about it before about, because some of our kiddos are in places where that is not something that they're going to be able to do right now. And some of our kiddos are in places where, it's realistic to think this may not be something that they ever do. And I hadn't really stopped to think about the fact that whether or not your son could do that. And to hear that maybe that's not the thing that's happening, whether it's right now or forever, and yet you still find the way for the rest of our kids to do it. It just goes to show what an amazing person Jennifer is.
Thank you.
That's truly...
No, and I mean it. I mean, now you're going to make me cry.
Well, no, I mean,
No,
let's just
but
cry.
no,
But
it's
honestly, Jennifer,
true,
there's a lot of people who would just be resentful about that and go, well, and I'm sure that there are people watching even now going, well, my kid can't do that. And I, I feel for you in terms of that. But what a great example you set, that you say, you know what, my kid can't do that, but I took joy in the fact that other kids can, and you find other things that your son can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, you know.
Jennifer's fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a mess. No, truly wonderful. And
thank
also, you know, that you've gone through some other things in your life too. I just want to say, as an example, because, you know, I know it's easy some days to sit there and think, well, you know, everything that I have is going on is bad, and I'm alone, right? That's where we all tend to go to, and I'm alone, and nobody has it as bad as I do. And you are a shining example of the fact that you're out there getting it done, making things happen for other families. But you know, you have had cancer challenges, you know, you've had personal challenges. And you're, you know, still in a position where you've got some pretty significant challenges going on with your son, and look at her. Look at all that she's getting done.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, and I learned early on, right when he was diagnosed. Of course, I was a mess. You know, scraped me off the floor, right? When you finally get the diagnosis, even though I knew for about 2 years and was being proactive, but I looked at it as, okay, I can either, you know, dig a hole and just accept, or really, you know, stand strong, educate myself, and then help Dylan, and then help others. And it did really change my life. And it, you know, puts things in perspective too, of, you know, you don't sweat the small stuff, and that, you know, you got to get up every day and advocate, and you know, just try to be the best person that you can be and help others. I mean, that's the way I look at life.
Well, you're a great example to all of us. And we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk first about this safety event that you have coming up that's happening on Tuesday the 8th.
Yes.
So this is next Tuesday that this is happening, as Autism Safety Fair. And just tell us quickly, where is it? So that
It's at Huntington Beach in Orange County at the Surf City Nights.
Okay, so we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about that extensively, about what that is, because as I said earlier, if you don't have safety, everything else is at risk, at the very least.
Absolutely.
All right, so stick with us. More with Jennifer Jones right after this.
What is autism?
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 I've been asking myself that for a very, very long time.
Let me think about that one.
Trying to, just,
Let me think. Oh man, that's a big one. Yes.
Autism is a neurological disorder that affects many of our kids in different ways.
It's a learning disability that affects the cognitive functions of the brain.
A lot of people have the misconception that it's a disability, and it's really not.
I look at it as like a special gift.
When one person thinks differently from another.
It's an opportunity for everyone to learn to understand someone that's a little different than them.
Autism is the ability to educate.
They're given so much talent in different areas.
To me, autism means a chance to be with and be around people you really care about. Autism is beautiful.
It's a way of seeing the world differently.
It's always unique, totally intelligent, and sometimes mysterious.
Happiness that comes out of my son's hard work.
It's a movement.
Unpredictable.
That's right.
Awesome. Love.
The field I want to work in.
Laughter, fun, joy. Autism is beautiful to me.
I want you to remember these 3 words. There is hope.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We are here with a good friend of our show. Jennifer Jones from Autism Speaks is here with us. Director of, no, I can't even, I'm going to let you say the title.
Director of Field Development for Southern California.
That.
Autism Speaks.
Yes, that. Remarkable, remarkable title. And I don't think people have any idea how many different events you have going on at the same time, and how many things that have to be prepped in advance for other things. But you guys work and do an amazing amount of good work here in Southern California. It's just amazing what you've been able to accomplish.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate it because I'm part of the community here that benefits from all the work that you do. And we've been talking about that. But you've got something new that's coming up on Tuesday. The Autism Safety Fair being done by Autism Speak, September 8th. Tell us where exactly it is.
Okay, it's I'm really excited. It's going to be in Orange County, and it's in Huntington Beach at the Surf City Nights Street Fair. So we're piggybacking off of the street fair, and it should be a great number of people. People can register online for it, but
We've got the poster up on the screen right now too.
So I'm excited. I always really push for our national events to be in Southern California and different areas within Southern California. So it's a Autism Speaks national objective that's coming here.
Yes.
And I pushed for it to be in Orange County, which I'm really excited about. My home area.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be really great. I'm partnering with Marianne Sullivan and Brandon from our office, and it's going to be a really great event. And the objective of it is really to both educate, our families with autism, but as well as first responders. So we are going to have several first responders there. And the great thing is they can meet our kids, that our kids can meet them. So, the fire department, the police department, EMTs, lifeguards, all that type of thing. As you know, safety is such a huge issue. And really, we need to educate our first responders so they know about our kids and how to respond to our children and how to respond to parents.
It's so important that you say that. I remember when Jem was little that, we were told it's really important to make an appointment and go visit the police station and visit the fire department so that he can meet them, so that in an emergency he's not afraid of them, right? But what you just said too, the flip is also important, that those first responders get to meet our kids so that they understand how to approach the situation. Because if you think about it, if your home were on fire and somebody in a big, bulky, smelly, because those jackets smell and they have reflective tape all over them, they come out of the smoke and go to pick you up. For our kids, that would look frightening, right?
Absolutely.
So we don't ever want to be teaching that lesson in the middle. And how is the fireman who's got fear and adrenaline going because they're in a home in fire, and then the child runs away from them or is screaming or tries to bite them or hit them, to get on a page where everybody understands that these are good people, when it's not happening, is absolutely crucial and imperative.
Oh, absolutely. And the great thing is that we will have a lot of information there for the families, as well as, again, so the children can meet the first responders and they can learn about each other. And not only that, but situations arise, unfortunately, and I definitely had my share of it this summer with my own son. That he is a big kid. He's 5'8", and he outweighs me, and he still has tantrums in public, and it appears aggressive, and again, how when you have certain situations, you want to make sure that the police understand. So because it's not pretty sometimes. And
how many times have we seen this in the recent years? Now that people are, I've heard people saying, was this always happening and we just didn't have smartphones capturing it? And I think that's probably the case, that these kinds of things have been happening. That we never want to make it seem that we're not appreciating our first responders, but we also have to do a little perspective taking, that they're in a position of adrenaline.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
if they don't know what's going on, they're going to respond in a way that is, for our community, is going to be over the top.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a responsibility as people in the community to educate our kids and to educate as many of our first responders as we can, so that we can avoid these potentially deadly situations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, this summer is the first time that I actually registered Dylan with the police department. And it's interesting that it took even me that long to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more of a situation just because I know the potential of how Dylan might react.
Right.
And so it's better for me to, be up,
Yes.
up front and let them know. And now if there were ever a situation at my house or in public, at least he's registered. They know that he has, severe autism and that he has tendencies to have tantrums and be aggressive. And I think, again, to be just honest and open about it is better than, the alternative.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think there are probably some people out there that don't even know that they can register with their police department. And you're reminding me that when in my community, we have an advocate in our community who's internationally known for this kind of stuff, right? And she makes this happen for all of us. I stepped into a community where it just was there for me. So I remember registering Jem when he was 4, but we've moved like 4 times since then, and I have never gone back and re-registered, and I need to do that.
Oh,
I
definitely.
need to keep up on that.
Oh, definitely. And it just is good because then they have the stats on him. Not only, let's say something were to happen, they have to come to the home, but what if he's definitely not the kid that is going to take off and wander. I could probably leave the door open and he's like, glued to my side. But if there is ever a situation, a lot of our kids do elope.
Right.
They wander.
Right.
They could get lost. Some are limited verbally. And so it's just a smart thing to do.
Well, and we have seen, and probably some people are watching going, well, my kid is higher functioning, so they're not going to elope, so I don't need to do that. But I want to bring up the case of Kimberly Green to you here in Los Angeles, the 15-year-old girl who had an argument with her foster mother and left and was missing for, 12 days, something like that.
So scary.
And I personally got on the phone with the police and said, will you enact a silver alert for this young girl? And they were saying to me, help me to understand, to me, a person who was not involved, but I got on the phone and called and said, why aren't you doing this? I have parents calling me asking why you didn't enact the silver alert. And the police officer is saying, I don't understand. This seems like a young girl. I've looked at her text. She seems like somebody who's just run away. Why do you think that she can't come home? And had to go through it and say, somebody can send a text, but that doesn't mean that she knows how to get out of a bad situation and that somebody won't take advantage of her. And we know that that's exactly what had happened now that she's safely back home. But what if that conversation had happened before she went missing? Because when somebody's missing and your emotions are running high, you don't want to take the opportunity to explain to police then. So if you register your child now and put down, here are the difficulties, then if you call and say, I have a problem, the police are coming in informed, which is the best possible circumstance.
Oh, absolutely. And then just a reminder, because I'm divorced, so we made sure with my ex-husband, even though he's not there very much, but make sure you register, any house that they're at a lot, or if you have a guardian or a caregiver. My son's with my parents a lot in Anaheim, so it's just really smart idea. Just if there's multiple places that they're at a lot,
So this fair, the Autism Safety Fair, happening on the 8th, you're going to get information like this, but at more information, a lot of great takeaways, and the opportunity to meet first responders there. What a great opportunity at a fair to be able to walk your child up, to be able to touch. Sometimes, I mean, our first responders are the most amazing people when they're outside of an emergency. With our kids, anytime I've been to something like that, they'll take off the jacket, off if the child wants to put it on. Those jackets stink. I'm sorry, they stink. And for our kids who are sometimes sensory, that's a lot. To have that connected with them with a positive thing, so that if something happens,
absolutely,
powerful thing.
Oh, definitely. And I do like that. Well, I'm a beach girl, but I like that it's in Huntington Beach too, because then obviously a big part of the safety fair is water safety, so that's something we'll be pushing as well. So.
I know this is a huge initiative this year with Autism Speaks, and I think you guys are really leading the way. We know this is the number one cause of death for an individual who has autism is drowning, far and away the number one cause of death. And Autism Speaks has really stepped it up to say we want to make sure that every child has water safety skills and
we even give grants
exactly
for swimming lessons.
Yeah. So what a really great thing to do to have this Autism Safety Fair. Where can people go if they want more information, Jennifer?
Well, they can definitely, again, the flyer is up. They can look on Facebook or our website, and they can register or just show up. The event is next Tuesday, September 8th. Again, it's at the Surf City Nights. It's up on their website as well. And then the event will be there from 5 to 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So it's a great thing. School just started
Yeah.
down in Orange County.
Okay.
My kids just started back. Whew, thank goodness. On Monday, and so I think the timing is great.
Right.
So better time to talk about safety.
Absolutely.
And right after school, and come down. It's a fun event too, and I think again, I'm always pushing for getting our kids out into the community too.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely in a nice kind of safe area within the fair where I don't think the kids will be overwhelmed. It's a nice little spot, so it should be a great event.
Time of day to be able to go. It's a little bit cooler.
Yes.
Something great to do after school. There'll be fun things there to see.
And I'll be there. So
there you
I
go.
expect everybody that I know in Orange County and LA there. Come on.
Okay.
You
All
can
right.
Come down.
All right. So 5 to 8, Huntington Beach. Go on the Facebook to see it. Now we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about some walks that are coming up, because I love me some Autism Speaks walk. It's a place and a time to get your batteries recharged, and remember that you are in this with a whole bunch of people. Get some great resources and do something powerful. A wonderful, wonderful thing. So we're going to talk about 2 that are coming up this fall in Southern California. So stick with us. Back with Jennifer Jones after these messages. Welcome back to Autism Live. We are here with Jennifer Jones from Autism Speaks. Give us your title.
Okay. Director for Field Development for Southern California.
Okay, it's too much of a mouthful. I can't say it. So thank heavens she can say it. And what that means is that Jennifer is the amazing person who makes stuff happen here in the Southern California, so that we have places to go that are filled with resources and places for us to meet and do things and have activities. And you can't even imagine how much this woman is responsible for and how much she pulls off. You're like a magician. But, we showed a little bit earlier the video from when we were at the Autism Speaks Walk for Los Angeles, which is the hugest event of the year and always the thing that is just so emotional and so much fun. I look forward to it all year long. But it's not the only walk that you do here. It's like the big sister walk.
Yeah.
But you have some amazing cousins that we want to talk about. Both the San Diego and the Orange County walks are coming up. So tell us about those.
Well, the San Diego walk is actually coming up very soon.
Yes.
That's on Saturday, September 26th, and really excited. It's at Liberty Station at Point Loma, which is just a really beautiful area and just a really nice place for a walk and our families. It's a smaller walk. We anticipate about 4,000 walkers, which is great, and about 200 volunteers. But it's really nice because each walk, I feel, has its own flair.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a sense of community, you know, as far as a walk and just a really nice vibe. So I really love this walk, and I'm really excited. You know, of course, any excuse to spend time in San Diego too is always nice. I'm actually doing the world tour today, I call it, or the Southern California tour today, because I'm hitting 3 counties today. I'm here now, and I'm heading to Orange County and then San Diego later today. So I'm definitely living up to the title today.
Yeah, you're road warrior. I think people who don't come to Southern California, they don't understand, because we always make it sound like everything is close and we're so and yet nothing could be further from the truth. Everything is so far flung that everything takes forever to get to. We had somebody that's a viewer come to Southern California, and they were going to be at Disneyland, and they were like, so could you meet us for lunch? And I was like, well, I can, but that's the entire day.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the entire day. I cannot get back here and do a show. I can't get Jem to school. Like, that's, you know, it is that far away. So for you to come from Orange County, where Disneyland is, all the way up here, that's a hike and a half, especially in the morning when it's a morning commute, and then you're going to go to San Diego. We need to get you a medal.
Well, that's how much I adore you, though, Shannon. You say come in, I'm like,
Skyped.
I jump. No,
Girl,
I like to see you in person.
Well, and I like that too. Let's be honest about that. But next time, if you need to, Skype instead of being on the road forever. But so San Diego is happening on September 26th, but then you have the Orange County
We
walk.
also have Orange County. That one is on Sunday, December 6th at Angel Stadium. So that one is a little bit bigger walk. You know, it's kind of funny. We got LA, which is, you know, the monster, right? 55,000. We're anticipating, we're shooting for 10,000 for Orange County this year, and I love being back at Angel Stadium. This will be our second year back, and really proud of that. And I think the families really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we learn every year from the walks. This will be my 3rd walk each for San Diego and Orange County as far as directing. And Orange County obviously is, you know, my hood, so I get pretty pumped up for that too. You know, I was born in Anaheim, so it's all kind of full circle, and it's actually the first walk that I ever attended. This will be my 11th year as far as a team Big D. So it's pretty exciting and full circle. You know, the first walk I went to was, you know, at the time Cure Autism Now, and 11 years ago, and just thinking that I've been at every LA walk and every Orange County walk, and, you know, now, you know, doing San Diego too. It's really exciting. So we hope everybody comes out. It's going to be great events, and like, I know your experience, and I just loved when you talked about it. Oh, I want to tell you something exciting about we're going to test out for Orange County for the resource fair, because I know you love the resource fair.
I love the resource fair.
So our idea this year is to have a lifespan of the resource fair. So start with service providers and vendors from, you know, early detection or, you know, diagnosis, and then go all the way through the lifespan to adult services.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
so if you've got an older kid, you know you're going to start here as opposed to starting. Wonderful.
Or just, you know, learn that. I know you're like me. I still go through everything. But then just to see, I guess, you know, what's possible and how we can evolve, and that it doesn't end, because obviously autism is a lifelong you know, disorder, and we have to think of it that way and be prepared. But I'm pretty excited. We're going to test it out and see how it goes.
I love the idea of that, because I know having a booth at these things, it's fascinating. You know, we're about information, so people come up and ask us questions, which we love. That's what we're there for. But it's funny because, you know, people will come come up and they'll say, okay, so Jess got the diagnosis, I don't know where to go, and we're like, okay, you know, you want to start over here.
Exactly.
And then other people come up and go, hey, I went to like 22 booths, but my kid is 16 or 18 or 22. What's here for me? And how much easier to point them in the direction and go, all right, that's where you want to be on this semicircle.
Yeah, so I think it would be exciting.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a very cool
Well,
idea.
good. I was like, I got to tell Shannon because I
I'm
got to
down
see.
with
Yeah.
that.
Well, good.
I'm down with that. I think that that's a really smart idea. Of course, I'm like, where do we fit in? Because we're a little bit of everything, but I bet there's a lot of people that are a lot of everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we will be at the Orange County Walk. We'll be excited to be there. I wish that we could be at the San Diego one. There is so much going on that weekend for autism.
I know.
And we think we're in Texas that day. But I gotta say to you that if I weren't in Texas, where I would be is San Diego, because on that day you can go to the San Diego Walk for Autism Speaks, and then you can go just like 10 miles down the road and attend that wedding, the autism wedding that's happening. What a great day.
I know, right?
What a great day
And
that could
just,
be.
Yeah, great day in San Diego, and just
be by the beach.
And awareness and
Yes.
love and
possibilities.
compassion and
The hope factor
It's
of it
true.
all. Well, I think I think you're amazing.
Oh, you're so sweet.
And see, I get all
You're so
emotional
good.
again. You're amazing, and you're
thank
such
you.
an example to all of us about, stepping up. Stepping up and being a part of it and being positive. You are a force of positivity,
Thank
Jennifer. And I appreciate that. And you have made an impact in my life.
Oh, thank you.
And in terms of how we enjoy and the things that we do, and that's ongoing. And it's not just about the Dodgers. You do that a lot. And I know I'm not alone. So thank you.
Oh, thank
you
you.
for all the work that you do.
You're an amazing woman, too.
And now I'm all, again, that's just how it is. But we're out of time here, and I need to go to the A word, but I thank you for being here, and we're going to check back with you about these events and get to a walk. Now, if you're not in Southern California, and you're sitting there going, but I'm not in Southern California, what I want to say to you is there's an Autism Speaks chapter where you are. I'm very confident in knowing that there is. And check out what they're doing, and if it's not what you want to see doing, well then guess what? Get involved.
Exactly.
Get involved and be a part of it. Because you know what? And you'll think, well, I don't have time and I don't, right? We all do that. We all do that. But I will promise you something, okay? From me to you, I promise. If you go and say, what can I do? You will get back twice as much as what you put in. That is what will happen.
Absolutely.
And you will find a community. And my friends, you can't purchase that. And that's a great thing to have. So get involved, be involved, and participate. And for right now, the first thing I think to do is go to a walk.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You will want to get involved.
It definitely transformed my life
Right?
in a positive way.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, if I hadn't attended the walk 4 months after Dylan was diagnosed, I wouldn't be sitting here today, certainly.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right. No, it's an amazing thing to do. So thank you for reminding us that, and thank you for these great. Make sure you go to the Safety Fair, which is happening on the 8th. September 26th is the San Diego Walk, and December 6th is the Orange County Walk. And if you want to find a walk near you, go to autismspeaks.com or .org, both work, and click on the tab that says Find a Walk. And then make a plan. Use your executive functions to make a plan to go to the walk. All right, we're out of time for right now, but I want us to go now to the A word. This is an amazing documentary following a little boy just diagnosed with autism at the age of 2, and we go over more than a 4-year time period now to see what happens when early intervention comes in, what it's like for him, what it's like for his family. So we're going to check in on Jack Riley to see what's going on with him and his new baby sister. When we come back, it is time for Love My Provider TV, and Sarah Gershfeld is going to be showing us a fabulous new toy/tool, Osmo, and you're going to love it. And there's an opportunity, I understand, to win one. So you'll want to tune in for that a little bit later on. We've got our guests that are with us talking about the film A Smile Beneath. So stick around for all of that. But first, here is the A word.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack. Jack Riley. He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast.
Hi, Jessica. Jessica's daddy. That's right. Who's this? Who's this? Bobby. And who's that? Daddy.
Who's that?
Over there. Who's that? She's in.
And I totally think he's just aware of a lot of things now. People's names. How's the behavior team going with the inflexibilities?
He's still a big control guy. He still wants it the way he wants it.
In sessions, he was very, he'd get very upset and
He gets upset fast, like for reasons that didn't used to upset him. He gets upset fast, and then once he's upset, everything upsets him.
Were they really long?
But it was a good half hour, the whole tantrum, which is long for him. Really long.
Yeah.
And he would just get so upset.
Yeah, everyone tells us, you know, it's not unexpected. He's 3 and blah blah blah, but
So we get it, we know it.
Still, it's harsh. Yeah, he's 3, but he's our 3-year-old.
Tell me a vehicle. Good job. Tell me another vehicle. Airplane is a vehicle. Yay! Okay, 2 more. Okay, tell me a food. Pancake is a food.
Yeah.
Tell me another food. Tell me another one.
Cereal bar is a food. Yeah.
I thought he said zebra. Hey, Chuck Riley. Good job. Tell me an animal.
What's that?
Tell me one more time. What's the animal?
Rhinoceros.
Rhinoceros. Oh, okay, is an animal. Tell me another animal. I know. Tell me another one. Oh, here are your shoes. What animal is that? Froggy is a what? No, frog is a good. So tell me another animal. Rhinoceros is an animal, and tell me another one. No, look at me. No, look at me. There you go. Thank you. Pancakes are not animals, silly.
There's a clue from it.
Yeah, and I don't mind if he looks around to like get clues, get hints. That's totally fine. Yes, I've been running sessions a little bit more like that lately, just because his behaviors have been really high. Just like if we're jumping on the bed or dancing, I'll stop for a minute and ask him like 3 or 4 questions, and then we'll just keep dancing or whatever we're doing. Let me probe through some stuff real quick.
What are you going to be probing?
Actions. So I just want to see if he already knows it, then I won't even bother introducing it. Give me kissing. Oh, good. What are the kids doing?
He's kissing.
Oh, they're kissing. Can you show me kissing? Oh, good job. Give me cleaning. Okay, good. What's the girl doing?
She's cleaning.
She's cleaning. Good job.
Water.
Okay, one more. Can I have it? One more. Give me crying. What's the baby doing?
She's baby.
What's she doing? What's the baby doing?
She's baby.
She's wah-wah? She's crying.
She's crying.
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll do crying.
He's kissing.
He's kissing. What about this one? What's she doing there?
She's cooking.
Oh, she's cooking. Okay. And what's this one? What's she doing?
She's crying.
Oh, okay. So basically, he knows all of them. All right, cool. All right. What are they doing?
She's dirty.
They're what?
There's cooking.
Oh, they're cooking. Good job.
What's that cooking? What's that cooking?
Mom is cooking?
What's that cooking?
Lots of cooking? Oh, okay, cool. All right, all done. Thank you.
Love My Provider TV. For those of you who have watched before, you might remember that we're constantly highlighting exceptional providers that work with families on the autism spectrum. And today I have with us actually not a provider, but a wonderful resource and I guess gadget. I love gadgets. So we have with us today Karen Odell, the head of community at Osmo. Karen, welcome to the show. And I am holding Osmo up right now for our viewers to see. I have the Tanagram box and the Word box, so you guys can kind of take a look. And I wanted to, first of all, introduce you and have you tell us a little bit about what Osmo is. And we have a quick video that we can show when you're done describing it. And then on top of that, I have a ton of questions for you because many of our families love using Osmo. And so why don't you just start with telling us what Osmo is, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, Sarah, this is an awesome program, and I'm happy to be here. So what we're doing with Osmo is we have a game system for the iPad where kids are playing in front of the touchscreen instead of being restricted to the touchscreen only of the device. So we have a series of 4 apps, and each of them includes an element where kids have physical manipulatives in their hands. So it opens up to a new type of learning experience.
Wonderful. And can you tell me a little bit about how Osmo came about? So I know that you've been with the company for from the very beginning, and you probably have a good idea of how it started and kind of how we were able to get that in our hands today.
Sure. So Osmo was started by 2 young fathers, Jerome Scholler and Pramod Sharma. They were both working at Google and engineers, and they had young kids at home, and they noticed that their kids were very attached to the device, the iPad or the tablet. And so they set out to solve this problem, which is, might there be a richer way for kids to use screen tablet technology? And so the 2 of them collaborated a couple years back, and what we have now is Osmo.
And what skills does it target? So when you're working with Osmo, you are using the iPad, and we know kids love the technology and they love being able to have screen time, but they're not actually playing with the iPad. They're playing with things that they're manipulating that are actually palpable and actually on the ground in front of them. So what are they developing? What skills are they working on when they're playing with Osmo?
Right. So there are a couple main things. I think the fact that they're physical manipulatives means that fine motor skill development is at work, and it really opens up to multi-sensory learning and engagement. So that's one key learning benefit. The other one is social learning, emotional learning. So the fact that the iPad play experience has been opened up means that a child's friend can join with them in the play. So now softer skills like collaboration and team building, collective problem solving, taking turns, these skills can be practiced and played now with the iPad. And maybe before, when it was just the touch screen, it wasn't as set up for that.
Yeah, and the video that you sent, I want to show to our viewers right now because it's a perfect example of what it looks like when multiple kids are playing with the Osmo. So Kelby, our producer, is going to pull that up and show that, and then I'd like to come back and talk to you a little bit more about some of the cognitive development that's occurring and kind of how it applies to some of our families who are on the spectrum or have a child with special needs who's found this and has found it very enriching for their lives. So let's take a look at that.
What's that? It's a puzzle. Cool. Would you like to play? Yeah. This should go here. Yes. Okay. Next. What are you guys doing? Oh, we're doing a puzzle. Cool. Yeah! Let's play this, guys. Okay.
And that was so much fun watching. And I honestly, I have it right here in front of me, and I kind of wish I was playing with it while watching. And I realized before we started, I didn't really explain to our viewers what it looks like. So what I have here, I'm holding up in front of me, is this white base. And then what you need to have is an iPad. So the iPad actually docks in the base, and you can see that it kind of links here. I have the app open. And then the most important part is this kind of red component, and it has a mirror built in that goes over the camera of your iPad. And that reflective technology is what allows your iPad to see what's going on in front of you. So Karen, could you tell me a little bit about the age range that is really targeted using Osmo? What have you found? Which kids have kind of benefited from it most, or are more likely to use this?
Sure. So Osmo was designed for kids, we say ages 6+. But I like to point out the versatility within or in all of the apps. As one example, a couple weeks ago we had a really meaningful story come in from one of our customers. He was 81 years old, and I guess he has a Facebook account, and on his social media he was sharing that he felt Osmo was great to keep his mind sharp, and he was really promoting the learning benefits of Osmo for him. So it really just varies, and that is inherently built into each of our games. So there's multiple levels. We refrain from sticking grade levels or ages per in the games, just so it can be used by a variety of ages, developmental levels, and whatnot. So that's intentional. We want Osmo to be for everyone, really.
Yeah, and I know I enjoy it. I mean, I'll stay up all night and play and try and beat all the
me
levels.
too.
But I have personally seen that a lot of our families who have kids on the spectrum are using Osmo. And that's why I reached out to you, because I thought it was a really wonderful thing, and it's rare to find a typical game that can really apply to all different age ranges and developmental levels. And one thing about it is that, as you mentioned, social thinking or social interaction is a huge component of it. And as you know, social skills can come in all shapes and sizes. And some of the most early social skills that we see in infants is eye contact, and going all the way up to having a conversation is kind of a more complex social skill. And Osmo really, what I've seen, really focuses on what's known as joint attention. So it's being able to follow a gaze or see the reference point between two different objects. And Osmo does a great job of that, so you can follow what the actual iPad is saying and look down at a second object and kind of see how the two relate. And I think that's a really huge component of what makes this app really successful for people on the spectrum, because that's something they're really trying to work towards. I wanted to ask you why you thought some of our families are drawn to it, and what components of it you think could benefit individuals on the spectrum. I'll start with that, and I have a follow-up question for you as well.
Yeah, sure. So most of our findings about Osmo for kids on the spectrum come from our community and customer feedback. And what we've seen is just an influx of, or just consistently, we're getting messages from parents of kids who have special needs who are telling us that the product is valuable for them and meaningful, and they feel good about it. And for a lot of reasons. I mean, joint attention, like you just mentioned. I think something that's really important is, like I mentioned earlier, the collaboration. I think sometimes, screens can feel safe because eye contact is scary, and so kids get really attached for that reason. And so I think Osmo, the stand, the base, the setup, allows for someone else to enter your space with the iPad, which maybe makes it feel a little safer, and then you can ease in and share the space, which is really hard for some kids. So that's one benefit that I've heard consistently. So I think there are several things, and it's just so meaningful to hear all of the feedback that we get. And like we love all of our fans, we love all of our customers and all the supporters of the product. But parents with kids on the spectrum, when we hear from them, there's an element of like real value that they perceive, and that's really awesome for us to hear.
Yeah, and right actually before we started filming, I was telling you that I had just recently posted on Love My Provider's Instagram, and we had an influx of parents saying, "Oh my God, I love it," or "I've been meaning to get it," and some saying, how they feel about it. And so I reached out to you, and I'm really excited to announce that you guys are going to join with us to do a giveaway to some of our families. So I'm really excited to get an Osmo into one of our families' hands that don't already have it. So to enter into the giveaway, what you would need to do is post a picture of your child playing with their favorite game or toy. It doesn't have to be Osmo, it can be playing in whatever they love the most, and add the hashtag #PlayOsmo and the hashtag #LoveMyProvider. And next week we're going to take a look at all of those photos, and we're going to pick someone that is going to get sent a brand new Osmo just for them. And what I'd like to do before we close is, Karen, what's the best way to learn more about Osmo? Tell us your website, your Twitter, Facebook, all that. How can people find out more about Osmo if they're interested in getting one for their loved one?
Sure. So the best way is to go to our website, playosmo.com. And I'd like to mention we have a promotion going on right now. If you buy an Osmo at our website, we will give you the opportunity to donate one to a local school or a therapy center. So we have that offer going on right now. So it's a great time to buy.
That's wonderful.
And then our Twitter is @PlayOsmo, and Facebook is /PlayOsmo. You can find us there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming onto the show, and we're so excited to share your thoughts with our families and excited to get an Osmo into some of their hands. So thank you again.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Karen, and thank you for the viewers out there who tuned in. And we're going to be back at Autism Live in just a few minutes, so stay tuned.
Hey guys, for the month of September, I'd figured I'd show you guys how to make a task completion chart to help your kids get through the hardest parts of the day. Parents have been writing into our host, Shannon Penrod, the hardest parts of the day are waking up in the morning, after school, and getting ready for bed. Please keep in mind you can always modify the task completion chart to focus on the skills that your family needs most. The template we'll be using today to make the task completion chart you can find at facebook.com/autism-live. All right, let's get to it. The materials you'll be needing are the template, cardstock, scissors, hole puncher, glue, pipe cleaner, Velcro, and photos or images. We find it more reinforcing for kids if you use images of themselves doing the tasks that you're trying to get them to complete. So what I have here to start off are photos of myself doing all the tasks that we're going to add to our task completion chart today. The first step you're going to be doing is printing the template from facebook.com/autism-live. I have it here, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim at the top. We don't need that, that's just totally excess. Now that I trim my 3 templates, I'm going to label each one with a different part of the day that we're focusing on, such as waking up, after school, and getting ready for bed. Now that I've finished labeling the templates with the appropriate time of the day, I'm going to attach the photos that go with it. For bedtime, the tasks I chose were getting ready for school, putting away toys, putting on pajamas, and brushing teeth. Now repeat this for all the rest of the day. Now that I've added the photos to the template, I am taking this along with my heavy cardstock to hold all my tokens. I'm going to line them up and make 3 hole punches. I'm going to take this pipe cleaner and attach the pages together with it. We're almost done putting this together. Next, I'm going to take my Velcro. I'm going to put them underneath each picture. And then I'm going to add 4 on the very edge too. Now that I've attached the rough side of the Velcro to the template, now I'm going to take the softer side and add these to the tokens. You can use whatever you want for the tokens, whatever your child finds reinforcing. They could be stickers, images, spacemen, Pokemon, whatever they like. Before you use your task completion chart, it's really important that you do a preference assessment to see what your child finds reinforcing that day. Once you have that established, then you can tell them the rule for how this task completion chart works. So every time they get one of their tasks completed, they add a token to it. And the way the task completion chart functions is like a token economy. So after they put a token under each one of these tasks, they can trade it in for their reinforcer for the day. Now that you've made your task completion chart, hopefully your child will be able to use it on a daily basis and help them through those difficult times of the day. Well, until next time, craft on. Bye, guys.
Can you see me flying? by your side.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're very excited because we have two wonderful guests who are joining us via Skype from Savannah, Georgia. We have joining us Angelique Chase and Chip Lane. They are from First City Films. They're involved with making a very important film called A Smile Beneath. First of all, Angelique and Chip, welcome to Autism Live.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're thrilled to have you here. We know that you guys are filmmakers, and we want to know about this really important film, A Smile Beneath. And then we also want to talk with you about how it is that this innovative way that you are raising funds for this film. But first, tell us a little bit about First City Films and A Smile Beneath.
First City Films is a company I started in 2007. And brought Angelique on board in 2010, I believe. And I had just been doing some casting and little production work here in town, but I met her on the set of a film, and we began working in partnership to produce our first feature film, Untouched, which is out there being sold now. And since then, we've produced commercials and short films and music videos and some other things. And this is our second feature film, and we have others in the pipeline.
Okay, and the idea of this film, it has something to do with autism. So maybe, Angelique, if you could tell us a little bit about the film and what it has to do with autism.
Absolutely. And just to back up how we came about Smile Beneath was through the book written by Christian Wood and Jeff Wood. They came to us and said, we really see this as a movie. Could you write it into a screenplay and produce this? And so we took it under our wing, and that's how that got started as well. So it is inspired by the book A Smile Beneath as well. And so this is a story of a young family who, the movie starts with the birth of their daughter Abigail, and it takes us through this journey of her age 12, and throughout there she's being diagnosed with autism on the spectrum, and she is nonverbal. And so the journey that takes them on, and the struggles that they overcome, and how that rebuilds their family and makes a really beautiful and powerful message.
Yeah.
Well, you know, autism is a subject very near and dear to our hearts. I'm wondering, though, what was it about this story that really caught your eye?
I think the book, although it reads like a journal a little bit, we both felt, I think that, if you don't mind speaking for you, we both felt that there was a great message of faith in there, in a family who, you know, can come together and you know, raise their daughter, and well, they have a son too, but come together and through faith and I guess that's pretty much what I'm saying.
And for me personally, I actually have a degree in child development, and I was a preschool teacher for 4 years. And then I actually became a child development specialist, where I was an early interventionist. And that's where I got actually a lot of my knowledge, and met many families who are on the beginning stages of new diagnosis. And we put a lot of that into the book of personal experiences with other families and what it was like from my point of view going into this, and then putting it from the parents' point of view as well. And so it's actually very dear to us as well, not only in the faith aspect, but in the special needs aspect as well.
We raised a lot of issues when we were writing the script, when we talked to quite a few families of autistic children with autism, and you know, we borrowed a lot of their stories and, you know, augmented or recreated or whatever. But a lot of it's very true. We went outside the book, obviously. Like I said, the book's sort of written like a journal, so we had to rewrite it for, you know, for the screen, and we did that by going to, you know, families and talking and hearing their stories, and a lot of them are heartbreaking, and a lot of them are just like the book. They had their hard times when it first began, but they grew together and learned and buckled down and you know, learned how to, you know, husband and wife learned how to get along and both learned how to take care of their children together.
Very inspirational. And so you guys have a sort of a new take on how you're going, because it costs a lot of money to produce a film and to get a film made and to get through the whole process of getting it sold. You guys came up with an idea of something a little bit, we've seen a lot of fundraisers out there, but you're doing something slightly different. Tell us what this campaign is.
So Chip actually came in one day with this idea we've been trying to think about, because we actually had people come to us and say, how can we contribute to the film? We were seeking private investors originally, which we still are, but we had so many people who wanted to contribute. How can we help get this project off the ground, because they believe in this message? And so $1 from 1 million people.
But the catch is, we wanted to give back, because when we first started thinking about raising money, and we do have a couple of investors already, but when we first started thinking of ideas on how to raise money for the film, because we're independent filmmakers, we didn't want to take anything away from families, who are raising children with autism. And, we didn't want to go to them. I know there's a lot of families out there and a lot of great organizations out there. We didn't want to go to these communities and go, hey, can you help us make this movie? Because, they're doing so much already. And so when we came up with this idea, it was, we're going to give money back after the film's made. And that's the most important thing, I think, because I haven't seen anybody else do that, but we felt very strongly that because we had so many people who wanted to help in some way or another with, with money, that we were said, let's give something back to these people.
So every dollar raised from this campaign, once we sell the film, goes to charities that the donors have recommended. So if they donate their dollar, they recommend a charity, and when it's done, we raised all $1 million, all $1 million goes back to those charities.
Love it. And so we lost sound for just a millisecond in there. I want to go back to the fact that you're asking people to donate $1. $1 that goes towards making sure that the film gets made. But once you guys sell the film, all the money that's raised, you're going to give that as a donation to the charities that people have recommended. And I know, when I looked at that, I was like, oh, well, I want to get an opinion in there. I know a charity that I want to do. And the truth of the matter is that we can all have a say. You just have to pony up a buck.
That's right. And then share it as well.
Yeah.
Because that's how the network would work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so there are different ways that people can donate their dollar and give their suggestion. Tell us what you would prefer that people do.
The main thing is go to our Facebook page, the movie A Smile Beneath, and there's a little video there that explains everything. It's posted right there, and it doesn't move down, so it stays right up front, and you can watch that if you want to, or just go to the link and you can donate your dollar and make your suggestion online right there.
Okay, and I even saw when I was on the website that there's an easy way to do it if you have PayPal, but there's also a button if you don't have PayPal. There are ways to do things. So everybody should be able to give $1, which I think is really wonderful. And I think what a great way as a community for us to be a part of something. So you're helping to get the movie made, but also you'll be helping other organizations down the road. So I think it's a brilliant idea what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
What's your timeline? When do you think you're going to be able to, when are you starting filming? When do you think the film will be done?
We will probably shoot in the spring of 2016, which is Savannah's, I don't know if you've ever been here, but Savannah's gorgeous that time of year.
Very green and fresh.
And there's a little bit of a golf element. There's no, it's not about, her playing golf or anything like that. It's the movie's about the family, obviously, but we're going to be shooting a lot of outdoor scenes, so it'll be very beautiful. So we're shooting in spring. So between now and probably into the year, like first of January, we'll be raising money and getting investors and hopefully building a lot of fan base through this type of grassroots movement. And we were going to keep everybody up to date as we progress.
Well, I love the idea. I think it's a really unique and clever idea, and we all have $1. And
make your dollar matter.
Right? And make your dollar matter. And sometimes it's just about paying that dollar forward to make something happen for somebody else. So this is a great way. We're at some point in the next week, we're all going to spend $1 that we could have spent on this. So really want to encourage you. Tell them the Facebook page again to go to.
The movie A Smile Beneath.
The movie
This
A
is what it
Smile
looks
Beneath.
like when you go to it, so you know you're on the right.
Okay, yeah. Don't want to give your dollar to the wrong place. That would be terrible. I had a friend years ago who was doing a garage sale, and she said, you know, if I could just sell everything I own and sell each thing for $1, I'd be a millionaire. Right? So let's all take one thing that we would have bought and just not buy that one thing and give $1, change the world. I thank you guys so much for being with us, and we'll look forward to getting updates on how things are going with your fundraising and when your film is done. I can't hear you, but we've got sound, Kelby? We don't have sound from you guys. What? Now we do.
Okay.
So I look forward to hearing from you guys.
Thank you. I'm just gonna say we're having Avengers this and that. We're having Spider-Man 8 and all these films. This is gonna be an original film. It's gonna be a great film, and it's gonna be true to life. I think a lot of families will go, "Oh, that's me," you know.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I want to encourage everybody to support you. Let's get this movie made.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye. Wonderful, wonderful idea. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to be back with more Autism Live. We've got something, a little boy who could use, not a little boy, a bigger boy, who could use a birthday card from you if you've got the time. So stick with us.
Hi everyone! Thanksgiving is fast approaching, and we thought it'd be really fun to teach you a gluten-free stuffing recipe with help from Breads from Anna. Now this is a 2-day recipe, and so day 1 we're going to make this bread. Here's what you're going to need. 1 package of Breads from Anna bread mix, 1 packet of active dry yeast, 3 eggs, 1 tablespoon apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons sugar, 1/4 cup of oil, 1/2 cup of warm water, 1 teaspoon ground sage, thyme, rosemary, 1 tablespoon of dried parsley, and then a pinch of tarragon, onion powder, marjoram, and garlic powder. On day 2, when we put the stuffing together, here's what you'll be needing. 6 tablespoons of butter, 1/2 bulb of fennel, 1 chopped onion, 2 chopped carrots, 1/2 cup of gluten-free chicken broth, 1 teaspoon of ground sage, thyme, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and pepper. All right, step 1, we're gonna dissolve our sugar into our water. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our active yeast. We're gonna dissolve all these together. So we're gonna just set this aside. Now we're gonna take our bread mix right on over to our mixer. So first things first, we're gonna put all our liquids together before we add in our dry bread mix. We're putting in 3 eggs, our oil, apple cider vinegar, water, and our water, yeast, sugar mixture. We're gonna blend these all together. So once our liquids are all mixed together, we're gonna go ahead and add our bread mix. We're also going to add all of our spices now. Okay, now that our bread's been mixed, we're going to spoon this into a bread dish and we're going to let it rise for about an hour. Okay, so now that we've let this rise for about an hour, we're going to bake it at 375 for another hour. All right, it's been an hour, so let's grab our bread out of the oven. We're gonna let this cool for a little bit, and then we're gonna actually cube the bread, and we're gonna toast it in the oven just a little bit longer to dry it out so that when we add it to the vegetables, it'll make a really great stuffing. So as you can see, we've toasted our little breads here in the oven, and now what we're gonna do is saute some of these vegetables so that we can mix it in with the bread and make our final stuffing combination. So we'll start with the butter. So we're gonna start with our onions so that we can make sure these are good and cooked before we add the other vegetables. They cook a little bit longer. Okay, those are looking pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and add our fennel, our carrots, our garlic, and then all our spices. So you're gonna wanna cook this until the carrots especially are nice and soft. Our vegetables are pretty soft here, so what we're gonna do is go ahead and mix this with our bread. We're also gonna go ahead now and add our 1/2 cup of broth. So once these are mixed together, we're gonna go ahead and pour it into our greased baking dish, and we're gonna bake it an additional 20 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay, I think it's ready.
right, and we can add a little garnish here. Perfect, and it's ready for Thanksgiving dinner. To learn how you can win some breads from Anna, go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/autism-live. Until next time, happy holidays.
Welcome back to Autism Live. So one of our good friends, Carrie Mallory Thompson, shared something a little bit earlier this week that we wanted to share with you. A mom in Arizona whose son is getting ready to have his 12th birthday. My son just turned 12. And she has a favor to ask of everyone. So I'm going to read the post that was shared on Facebook, wondering if I can ask a favor of everyone here. My son is turning 12 at the end of September, and I'm trying to get him some birthday cards. We never have done birthday parties for him until 2 years ago. I planned a big party for him, invited all the kids in his class, etc., and not a single kid came. It was heartbreaking for us. Last year, we had a party planned, but we had a monsoon storm come in. I've been off work since May due to foot surgery, so I don't think we can even try a party this year. So I'm asking if we can rally around my sweet boy and get a lot of birthday cards sent to him. He loves to get mail, and this would make him so happy. If you can send just a card, that would be amazing. So we've got an address here. We want you to send this to Jamie, Jamie, care of Susie Robin, Cuzi Robin, Robin, P.O. Box 9186. Again, that's P.O. Box 9186, and that is in Surprise, Arizona. The zip code is 85374. Again, that's Surprise, Arizona, 85374. I hope that all of us will take a minute. It's such a small thing to do. You can make a card, you can buy a card, put a stamp on it, and send it off to Jamie to celebrate his 12th birthday. You know that something like that can be life-changing for a young man, to know that that many people are thinking of him and wishing him a happy birthday. And the birthday is coming at the end of the month, so you could start sending those cards right now, and I'm sure he would be tickled pink by that, and certainly his mom would really appreciate it. And you know, sometimes helping a mom to make something special for a kiddo on the autism spectrum, it's the best gift you can give a mom. Now see, I'm going to get emotional. All right, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we are going to talk about cognitive skills and how these things help our kids to be able to do perspective taking and how we can teach it. So stick with us. What do you think about the prevalence of autism, the rising number of prevalence, and what are your thoughts on what this world is going to be like with so many individuals on the autism spectrum?
I think a lot of the increase is just increased detection on the milder spectrum, but I think there is some severe autism that's increased. Older parents having children would be one factor. You know, lack of vitamins, like the B vitamins prior to pregnancy, chemical insults, taking prescription drugs in the first trimester. There's a whole lot of little insults like this that can interact with susceptible genetics. I work in a technical field, and there's mild autism and Asperger's and dyslexics all over it. One of the best millwrights in the feedlot industry is severe dyslexic. He's one of the best millwrights that there is, and that builds complicated feed mills. And the thing that worries me is they've taken so many of the hands-on classes out of the school: cooking, sewing, woodworking, metalworking, auto shop. There's a lot of kids that are kind of different. They make great mechanics, and we have a shortage of mechanics right now. We have a shortage of engineers. I'm getting concerned that there's some smart kids that are kind of different, kind of getting a handicap label. Now, where the diagnosis really makes a difference is later on in life with their relationships. And the wife is wondering why the husband is not very demonstrative and, you know, not very lovey-dovey and emotional. And this is where getting a diagnosis can really help their marriage, because then the wife understands. See, that's where that kind of, when it comes to relationships, that's where the diagnosis can really, really make a difference. I think one of the problems today is sort of a more social society today. You know, the kid that was a little bit not too social before, he'd be out there in the auto mechanic shop getting along great with the shop teacher, and they've gotten rid of that kind of stuff. You see, I'm in a weird situation where I walk back and forth between the autism world and the sort of metalworking and cattle working kind of world. And, oh, there's farmers that I know that are on the spectrum. and they're doing great in farming.
So maybe it's not that these kids actually do have a diagnosis then, but maybe the prevalence was there before?
Well, I think on the mild end, I think the prevalence is probably there. But I think there's severe autism that has increased. There's way too much sugar in the diet. We also have an omega-3 deficient diet in this country. We're not getting enough omega-3s. I think let's go back to the alternative things, fish oil supplements, some of the B vitamins, and lots of exercise. Kids are eating way too much sugar, and kids are not just getting enough activity. You know, mother used to say to me, go outside and run the energy out of you. Well, and kids aren't doing that today, so that makes the ADHD worse.
Welcome back. That was Temple Grandin that you just saw, the first interview that I ever did with Temple Grandin, which was almost 3 years ago now. And I was just saying to Kelby that one of the things that I really enjoy about being around Temple and talking with her is when the cameras aren't there. When that's over and the cameras are away, she's really fun and she's really funny. She has a wonderful sense of humor, and she appreciates humor, and she's just a really fun lady. And you know, I was so nervous on this first time that when we interviewed her, and when it was all over, we were sitting there afterwards and they were packing up all of the equipment. We had 2 people that were working crew, and she was talking to me about my son, and she was writing all these notes about things that she was recommending for my son, all things that I've recommended to you guys here on the show, like Khan Academy. What a great find. That I'd never heard of that until Temple told me about that. But then we started talking about other stuff, and she, you know, like any intelligent person, she's deeply inquisitive and wants to know about things, and was asking me all kinds of questions and wanted to know, was I married? Was I happily married? What were the biggest obstacles that my husband and I faced in our marriage? And she said, you know, my mother and I are deeply, deeply interested in this because we see that it's really hard on the families and it's hard on a marriage that's going through this, because these folks aren't getting the respite that they need. They're not getting a break. And she said to me, like, for instance, Shannon, do your husband, you know, do you find time to be alone and go on dates? And I laughed hysterically, like I'm sure most of you would, was like, what, I'm sorry, what is that? What's a date with my husband? I'm not clear on the concept. Right, which she totally understood my sarcasm and my humor, and laughed. And she said, no, exactly. That's what a lot of the autism parents, she told the story, I'll never forget this, of there was a church that held like an evening, a respite evening, where they said to families, if you want to bring your children, we have people that are here that they'll be here and they're trained, and your kids will be fine, and we have activities for them. You go and be on a date or do something. And that later there was one couple that apparently hadn't come back on the time that they were supposed to pick up their kid or kids, and they found them, they were asleep in the parking lot. They had never left the parking lot. They just went into their car, they turned on some music, and they reclined the seats, and they took a nap. And everybody was so moved by that. And of course, Temple and her mother were like, this is so significant that, you know, people are given an opportunity to go do something and have some fun. And what they chose to do was to take a nap. And that it just goes to show how deeply this respite is needed, right? If that's what you chose to do with your time. So anyway, Temple was asking me about my husband and I, and, you know, had we had any time? Ha ha ha, that's, you know, hilarious. And on my part, that was me laughing. And so she said to me, well, you know, we have to fix this problem. What is holding you back from you and your husband being able to go on a date? And I bring this up because I said we were going to talk about cognitive functions, and sometimes what we think and what we believe to be true becomes a truth for us, and we don't let go of it. And I said to her, well, there's no way that we can do that. There's nobody that we could get that, you know, could be with our son that is trained to do that. And she was like, okay, but that's just what you think. That's just what you believe. Let's see if we can solve this problem. Well, and at one point, you know, the enormity of that moment still sticks with me. And at one point, I kind of had this moment. She said, what's wrong? And she's totally checking in with my states, right? And I had this sort of, you know, moment. And she noticed it fully. And I said, I'm just Temple, you're giving me marriage advice, right? And I said, I just, this is amazing. I'm getting Temple Grandin is giving me marriage advice. And she said, well, I'm a problem solver. This is what I do. I don't have to be in a marriage to look at and see, and that's why I'm asking you what the difficulties are so we can work on it together. We're going to change this. And we have made some changes in the last couple of years, but we're still not good at my husband and I are going on a date thing. We're working on it. Progress, right? Not perfection. But in any case, this idea that Temple was talking about, that we can get inflexible about our thinking and start thinking that what we think is always the truth and what we believe is always the truth, is something that can be disabling. And in fact, it's one of the things that somebody who's on the autism spectrum, it can be a part of the disabling aspects of the disorder for them. Inflexible thinking, the inability to recognize the difference between what somebody believes and what they know when they're thinking about it, right? The inability to recognize that what you think could be vastly different from what somebody else thinks, and perspective taking, right? But the truth is that it's like a muscle. All of those things are like muscles that we can improve upon. We can take a flabby muscle and make it a firm muscle. We can do that for ourselves, and we can do that for our kids who are on the autism spectrum. I mean, here I'm supposed to be the neurotypical person in the scenario, and Temple's talking to me about my inflexible thinking and misdiagnosing something that I believe to be true because I'm thinking it, and that it isn't necessarily true, that I don't know that that's the case, I just think it and feel it. So clearly, it's something that can be taught, right? And I want to say that Skills has a great curriculum for cognition. And what was fascinating to me about the cognition curriculum of Skills is that I was always like, how are you going to teach perspective taking? How do you begin to teach perspective taking? Perspective taking is when I have my view of things, right? And I'm aware of that, but I overlap that with taking a look at what must it be like from your point of view, literally from your point of view. That, I'm sitting here and I can see a camera. You're sitting there and you don't get to see a camera. And I always have to keep that in my mind, right? So I was always curious I knew about perspective taking and how we were going to get to that. And I remember it so well that it was a really exciting time in my son's development because it was fun. It was really fun, and we could see the difference it was making. We couldn't necessarily see the biggest picture of it, but I do now. I'm sure that more of it will be revealed to me, but it began with sensory perspective taking. There's a whole area of lessons and skills that are about sensory perspective taking, because perspective taking is really hard to touch, right? Do you know what she's thinking? How do you touch that? Well, we can draw it, right? And we do, and that's really effective. But it's one of those things that, you can't quite get your fingers on usually. And we want things to be as concrete as possible as we begin to introduce concepts. So we start with senses, which you still can't touch, but they're a little bit easier to apprehend, right? So if our children have hearing and have the capability to hear, we can talk about, did you hear that dog bark, right? And when their receptive language is strong enough that they understand, that I heard that noise, that's hearing, then we can begin to work on sensory perspective taking, where, a therapist can be in one room and the music can be playing and they can say, can you hear the music? And the child says yes. And they put mom down the hallway in a bedroom with the door closed and they say, can mom hear the music? And in the beginning, the kids all go yes, because they're not doing the perspective taking. And then the therapist goes, well, let's go see. It's very experiential. And so they go down the hallway, they go into the bedroom, and they close the door and they go, can we hear the music now? No, I can't hear the music now. And mom is standing there and they go, okay, so can mom hear the music right now? No. And then we go back out down the hallway, back to the dining room and say, can you hear the music now? Yes. Mom is still in the bedroom. Can she hear the music now? And the child eventually says no. And you might have to do it 20 times, but eventually the child goes, no, mom can't hear the music. And then you get into why. Why can't mom hear the music? Well, because she's far away, or the door is thick, or she's far away and the door is shut, right? You begin to, because that gets us into cause and effect, which is huge. So the more you begin to do this, and we had a lot of different, once they taught my son the senses, I can smell it, I can hear it, I can see it, I can touch it. They taught him all of the senses, and then we began to work on sensory perspective taking. There was a bunch of really fun games that you can play where they put up a boundary. And, you get one of those trifold science cardboard things, from a store. And you put that up, and something is happening on one side. It becomes a screen. Something's happening on one side, and the child walks around the table to try to figure out, when can I see it? When can't I see it? When can I hear it? When can I smell it? When can I touch it? Can the person on the other side? It makes it really fun. And those are cognition games. Those are all things to build, to understand the idea of, I'm thinking, I'm feeling, I'm seeing, and everyone else is too. And what does that mean? So what do they think when I don't make eye contact with them? What do they think when I don't smile at them? What do I feel like when they don't look at me? Really important that, I know all of you are like, I want to work on the social skills. I want to work on the social skills. But the truth is the social skills won't be meaningful to an individual unless they have the cognitive with it. So super duper important. We're almost out of time here. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back with more of Autism Live. Stick with us. Here mid-swing on this wonderful day, this wonderful walk with Mr. Matt Asner. Talk to us about today's walk. Do we have any facts, figures, numbers, or just pure emotion?
Just pure emotion.
With Max Burkholder. There's a whole community of people that are going to love you no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. And that's the autism community. Are you okay with this? Is this a good thing?
I'm pretty okay with it. This seems to be a pretty happy, supportive community.
Well, what did you learn about autism through portraying this wonderful character?
Sort of the individuality of it. Like with autism spectrum disorders, a tendency is to sort of generalize everybody with sort of the same degree of affliction as sort of exactly the same, and very generalize them a lot. But something I found while just talking to everybody, and that I tried to put into the characters, just the sense of individuality that all of them have, everybody has. And so at a certain point it became not really even portraying autism, it just sort of became portraying the character.
I want to say thank you on behalf of everybody for what you do.
That's very sweet.
To bring awareness and to raise money. That's a tremendous legacy. But as a dad, you've got other things that you're doing as well.
Yeah.
I want to know, as a family, if you have any advice, what's been something that's been helpful to you personally?
Get your autistic kids out in the community. I mean, my son's got a guide dog, so he goes to a lot of cool places. He surfs, he skis, does gymnastics. He's actually trying Hebrew school. I'm not quite sure if he knows what's happening there, but he does all kinds of cool things, and he has a lot of friends. Right now, most of his friends are the adults who take care of him, and over time, hopefully he'll have more friends who are his age, and you'll see him walking around, and people won't be nervous around him. The dog's been very helpful with that. It's like the dog is like the most infectious thing in the world. Like, everybody wants to be near the dog, and he sees that, and he gets some of that affection laid onto him. So as a family, we're just there to support Tyler and make him happy.
Wonderful autism walk. We encourage you to go to the autism walks that Jennifer was talking about earlier in the program. Really is an amazing opportunity to get together with other people, to find out resources that are available. And I do think that it is, as I was saying earlier, I think it's important, the togetherness, that feeling of purpose, truly remarkable. Wanted to take just a couple of seconds to talk about next week's shows. We're going to be with you on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. It's a shorter week for us because all of us are getting an opportunity to, here in the United States, maybe not all of us, but a lot of you are getting an opportunity to have a 3-day weekend. I know that this can be a really difficult time for autism families, that a lot changes in the fall, that school starts, and whether your kiddo is going to school or not, if their friends are going to school or they're going different places, a lot of times fall is when things change, and they noticeably change. We're all going to notice the light changing. Very soon we're going to be changing the clocks. The weather changes. Even here in Southern California, the weather changes, right? The clothes that we wear changes. The people we spend our time with, especially if you're at all on a school schedule, will definitely change. This weekend, I want you to give yourself the opportunity to just take at least 3 big, deep breaths and say that change is something that is always going to happen. The change is not negative. Change is about growing, and that all the things that we want in life came about because of change. All the things that we continue to want, they will come about because of change. Let's all try to get into a place where we welcome it, because there are things to look forward to. There are new teachers that we've never met. There are new therapists that we've never met. This is a great opportunity to just take stock this weekend, take a breath and go, yes, it's, if it's been good, great, but it's going to change. And if it hasn't been good, then even better, because everything is about to change. Take a couple of minutes for yourself during this weekend to embrace that change and to celebrate. This is the holiday that's about labor, that everybody has worked. You've been working. And I know for our autism families, sometimes that means that you have less services so that other people can take their break too. If that is your case, if you have less services this week than ever before, I want you to take the opportunity to try to, before the weekend comes, learn something that you can do with your child that you didn't know before. Take on some little thing, ask them to let you run it while they're there during therapy so that you get the practice while the experts are there, right? So that you don't lose any ground. You can always check in on skills and run a couple of things from skills, or do an IBT training, right? But if you have the opportunity, and I know many of you do have the opportunity, that sometimes when other services are down, some ABA providers are offering more services over the weekend than they typically do. Ask your ABA provider. And my big push now to the end of the year, my motto is use all of your hours. Ask. It doesn't hurt to ask, right? What's the worst thing that can happen if you ask? Nope. Sorry, we don't have anybody available to work. But you might as well ask and say, hey, can we get extra therapy? And don't think of it as a negative. If you're going to a picnic, take the therapist to the picnic, because picnicking is a life skill, right? And they can be helping your child to work on social skills while at the picnic. It's all well and good, but use your hours. Use them yourself or get somebody else to do them, but use all of your hours. It's worth the investment, right? So we will be back though Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week after Labor Day. Officially, I think everyone will truly and well be off to school. So we'll be on to new topics. And as I mentioned earlier in the week, we're going to begin to talk about gearing up towards the end of the year, some of the things that happen at the end of the year, how we can start preparing our kids so that if you are celebrating Halloween, that we don't wait till the week before Halloween to talk about systematic desensitization, that we start to make those decisions now. Maybe we decide what the Halloween costume is now. We, if we know where we're going for Thanksgiving and what the challenges are going to be, we're going to start working on those things early. Get a gripster on it. In any case, we're totally out of time. I want to thank you all for being here. Want to thank our fabulous guest, Jennifer Jones, for being with us, and our wonderful guests, Angelique Chase and Chip Lane from First City Films. Send your dollar. It's $1. Make a difference, right? We're all out of time, but I will see you next Tuesday. Have a wonderful 3-day weekend if you're celebrating it. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me. Bye-bye for now.